Hello and welcome. My name is Grace Greger and I will be your proctor for today's class. Today we are studying conceptual change and how it can be used in the classroom. According to Pinterix, Marks, and Boyle, conceptual change is the interaction between a student's learning experiences and their current ideas. Essentially, the student is in a conflict between their old ideas and/or knowledge and a new set of ideas or knowledge. How the student resolves this conflict and integrates the new information will define how much they learn. The conceptual change model is missing certain important elements. These elements are student motivation, student interest, student goals, student beliefs, and student values. Pinterix, Marks, and Boyle ask a great question in the beginning of their article that most educators ask themselves all the time. If a student is able to do the work and has the prior knowledge to succeed, why aren't they succeeding? They conclude that cognitive models do not accurately explain classroom learning and that motivation plays a critical factor in whether or not a student becomes engaged in the learning. Things that may affect a student's motivation to learn are the structure of classroom tasks, the classroom structure itself, the student's own learning goals, and how students' prior knowledge may actually get in their own way of learning. In addition to student motivation, 4 things must be in place for a student to glean the most knowledge from the integration of new information. These 4 items are dissatisfaction with their current knowledge, the new knowledge must be intelligible, the new knowledge must be plausible, and the new knowledge must be fruitful. If these 4 areas are met, students are more likely to change their beliefs about a particular topic. According to Tippett, refutation text is used to facilitate conceptual change. Refutation text is a structured text that is used to challenge a reader's misconceptions, and it is made up of 2 parts: a common misconception and a refutation of that misconception using science. Basically, it forces the student to think about things in a different way and help them form different opinions. So, for example, it resolves the misconception and helps the student to find a new correct answer. Throughout all of her research, Tippett found 6 recurring themes associated with reputational text. They are prior knowledge activation, format and structure of the refutation text, other forms of refutation, refutation text and maintained conceptual change, reading processes and strategies, and factors that might contribute to refutation text effectiveness. Although the results associated with these 6 themes merits more research, Tippett did find that conceptual change was still occurring well after the students read the reputational text. This is an interesting finding. If we continuously challenge a student's way of thinking, they will be able to learn more deeply over the duration of their schooling. The overall theme of Tippett's meta-analysis is that refutation text can help students with their cognitive processing. As a health teacher, I am constantly refuting previous misconceptions. The students come to me with very little actual knowledge in the areas of health, but they have heard all sorts of rumors that I spend all school year refuting. For example, at this moment, my students and I are discovering the topic of mental illness. Many students do not understand that types of mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder are things that people cannot just get over. My students see someone who has been sad for a while and they tell them to snap out of it. Or they know of a relative who is really mean one minute but super nice the next. They do not know how to relate to those individuals or how to help them. As a result of not understanding the mental illnesses, they begin to call people with mental illnesses things such as crazy, emo, or even freaks. And they really do bully them mercilessly. I have to challenge those students' preconceived ideas of mental illness by providing facts on what different mental illnesses are, how a person gets a mental illness, signs and symptoms of various illnesses, and how to help someone with a mental illness. Once my students understand the causes, signs, and symptoms of different mental illnesses, they begin to develop empathy for individuals who possess them. They realize that people with mental illnesses are human too, and that there is nothing wrong with them, that they did not do anything to develop a mental illness, and that they don't even really want one anyways. A common misconception that I encounter in the physical education setting with my female students is that they are not able to do things. These young ladies believe that because they have never played a sport or participated in a specific activity, that they are not capable of learning how to play it. I really have to spend a lot of time breaking down the activities into their individual skill components and teaching those components to the students one at a time. After my students practice the most basic of skills for a couple of days, usually about 2 to 4, they begin to realize that they actually can learn how to do things. Once my students have grasped the concept that their bodies really can perform the movements, then they begin to teach the other components of the activity such as playing positions, rules, and game tactics. However, even though they do become successful at that specific activity, when we begin a new sport or activity, the process begins all over again. I have to slowly refute what my female students think they are capable of doing with every single activity that I introduce in class. But by the end of the year, my students have learned many new skills and their self-confidence has increased significantly. To recap, conceptual change is taking a misconception and replacing it with new knowledge. Refutation texts can be used to bring about the change, but students can be resistant to the change, as well as lack things such as motivation to change. Thank you for attending today's lesson on conceptual change. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next time.